I love fabric. Even better, I love cheap fabric. And so I'm going to show you today my fabric haul. Hello everyone, I'm Caroline and welcome to my home on the hillside here in Wales. And I've been doing some shopping because I'm really into making quilts at the moment. And if you've been shopping for fabric, you'll know it's very expensive. And if you buy any amounts to make a quilt, it can really mount up. So I've got these fabrics, but they're not new. We have a charity shop nearby and they sell, this like the last hope hotel. And if you don't buy things then at £5 for a pound, which is 20p each, they're going to throw them in the rag bag. They're going to get shredded. So I think, well, that's a waste of good clothing when I can make something out of it to shred it. And I'll show you what I got on my latest trip to my charity shop or thrift store. I've got this is a flannel and it's so soft and lovely. Now they've just come out of the washing machine and dryer. I haven't ironed them. I don't iron them until I'm ready to use them because otherwise they just end up getting scrunched up anyway with my storage system sometimes. So this is lovely and the bigger you get, the better. This is a large, it's from Primark. If you're looking for a tag on something, usually on a lady's, look inside and it'll be on this side. So the way the buttons do up is the side of the tag, and if we look on here somewhere, it takes a while. Some of these things have got like loads and loads of tags. I've had ones with 5 or 6 and you can see they're 100% cotton, which is perfect for me because I love using 100% cotton. If they're a bit older they can be a bit floppy, but that's not a problem. Bit of spray starch will stiffen them up for you. So I've got that one. Let's check the back, something I didn't check. At 20p, I don't hang around too long. I think, well, I can get enough fabric anyway. But with the ladies, quite often, there's like sewing dart up the back, and that's really frustrating because you either lose all that fabric or you have to unpick it, and that takes forever. So I try to avoid those when I can. I've got this one, and this is a man's shirt, classic fit, which is good. This is large. And because it's a classic fit, again, no darts. If you get one that's a slim fit, even in a man's shirt, you'll often get those darts put in up the back, which are a little frustrating. I love this. I'm thinking of putting this with blues. I think I have over here. Look at that. That is so country style, isn't it? So I'm thinking of doing something with the blues and the red and white check and see what I come up with there. I've got this one, and this is a extra large, which is even better. It's got a little cotton symbol on there. If you wanted to, you could pick that off and put it onto your quilt, couldn't you? No darts, perfect. And can you see just how much fabric is in these? I'll show you in the end. Well, let me show you what I got, and then I'll take one apart and show you what you get. I got this dress, and it's cotton again, and I got this just for the amount of fabric in the skirt. There are little bits in the top here I'll be able to use on my English paper piecing. Possibly they're very small because it's all seams, but just the skirt there has got so much fabric in it. You couldn't possibly get that much new fabric for 20p. I got this shirt, which is an extra large. The best ones are the more X's. The more X's you get, the bigger the shirt. And let's check this one. Nope, this has got no darts in it. And also I love this, look, you've got the it's like a wonderfully coordinated fabric there. Sometimes it's in, yes, it's in here as well. Now some people don't like taking these apart because there's usually some interfacing, but I don't mind that. I don't know why, but I'm collecting the bits with the interfacing stuck on, and I'm thinking I might be able to do something with them because they're stiffer. Maybe they'll sew up into a bag. I don't know, maybe I'm keeping them and I should throw them away. I'll think about it. Right, I got this, which is a size 14. And that's got darts in the front, but you can cut these out and use them. But this looks like it's got a very dark stain of something there. This has been in the wash, that's not coming off. But when you're using them for patchwork, it doesn't really matter. But you can see there's darts there. There's this, like, I don't know what you call it, a channel for the belt. So this is going to be mainly smaller pieces, which I don't mind, but I'd rather if I could just take big huge pieces off, you know, virtually or sometimes more than a fat quarter. I got this, which I love. I think this is going to be such fun in a quilt. It's a size, I can't see, to say something. What I love about these is that because of a stain or a tear, or sometimes underneath the arms are a little bit dark or something, I can cut all that right off, and you can cut well past the stain bit, so you've never got any worries as long as you wash them thoroughly. And then you get to do something and they live on perhaps for many years, possibly even decades if somebody really looks after the quilt. So that's what makes these such fun. I've got this one, which is a large, but I love the check on this. Look at that. Oh, I don't know what it is. I love check. The only thing is you've got to be careful. Like if you're trying to cut out a square, you cut it on the bonk, then it doesn't quite run right. And if you cut it completely like that, so that you get the sort of diamond shape in there, then you get a lot of edges that can stretch. So I try to keep them following the lines. And then last of all, I got these, and they're a pair of ladies' shorts. And I can't see a size on them, but they were cotton, so I thought, well, I'll put them in. They're a little thicker than I would normally use, but some of the shirts and things I get are a little thicker, so I'm thinking I can use that. I think this will go nicely with, where's my red one? Down on the floor here. This is a little thicker, not as thick as this, but I think I'll get away with mixing the two. And I just love the blues and reds together. So what I'm going to do now, I think we'll pick, should we go with this shirt? We'll do this shirt, and I'll show you. Some people are very, very careful about how they cut up shirts. They do such a wonderful job and they don't waste an inch. I'm not like that. They're going to be shredded anyway, and I'm not a very patient person, excuse me, if you know me. So like, I'm not even going to undo the button. I don't save the buttons because I've got nothing to use them for. So I cut a little snip and tear up the button band. And then I would just go across and tear, but because I do English paper piecing, then weird shapes don't matter. But also, I don't mind if I go a little bit wonky like there. I could spend 2 or 3 times the amount of time cutting it perfectly straight, but I'd rather get it done, and then I can get on with sewing. But I love that. Oh, you can't beat the sound of a tear. And then that's a bit awkward there. I'm going to cut around it, and then I can go further down, snip in there and tear. And that bit is going in the bin. And already I've got this piece of fabric, which is quite a substantial size piece of fabric. And that's not all there is, because now we're going to do the other side. Snip up there, tear right up the button band. And then just, you can see I'm doing this even neater because you're all watching me. I usually just hack away because it all is going to need straightening up with my rotary cutter when I'm actually getting the size I need. So I just chop, and I do love a shirt that tears. Some shirts have got like a texture in them that's woven in, and you can usually tear those one way but not the other, and that's really disappointing because then you have to cut them all the way instead of just tearing. And now my favourite bit. I love this bit. We're going to go around that little sticky out bit there, cut that off, and then I'm going to tear up the seam, and then we're going to go around the arm and a little snip there and across the back, and usually there's a tack halfway along the back, so I snip through that, keep turning back around the other armhole until you get to the seam. You've usually got to go out a little bit from the seam because that's the way the fabric runs, otherwise you get too close and you can't tear it. Chop that little weird bit off the end again, and then snip just above the hem, pull. That goes in the bin, and watch the size on this. Look at that. It's enormous. Well, this is, let's have a look on my measuring mat. This measures 21 inches by 23 inches apart from the holes where the arms came. So that is a substantial bit of fabric that's actually only cost me 20p. And that's without all the other bits. So pop that there, and now we just got to do the sleeves. I won't do all this, I don't think, because it's going to take a while. And I don't know how much you enjoy seeing somebody taking shirts apart. So I'll just show you how I do the sleeves. Cut around the seam of the armhole, chop off the bottom bit, then find the seam that's going up the sleeve. Now you can just tear this straight, but you do waste a lot at the top, and sometimes I need the extra width, so I'll cut a piece out of the top of the sleeve rather than the bottom. And can you see how much wider that is? So if I need to cut a big square, then that's the best way to do it, is to chop up these. Even though I'd rather tear, I do make an exception on sleeves. And also this little bit here, I take it out because it's so easy to forget that that's there with the button on, run your rotary cutter over it, and you've ruined a blade. And blades for rotary cutters are not cheap, so I don't like to waste those. What I have found, if you use a rotary cutter, I bought some cheap ones and I just got through them so quick. I didn't know what to do, so I decided to invest in some titanium blades. Now they are more expensive than just standard metal blades, but wow, the difference that it makes is amazing. Because, well, I've made a whole quilt now with the same blade and it is still as sharp as when I started. When I used just the plain metal ones, it was blunt in no time. Right, so now I'm going to deal with, you know, to do the sleeve, I'm going to deal with this. I can't remember what this is called now. Is it the placket? I don't know. Could be. I just cut down. You can see, if you look at the line here, this is a bit wider here. So if I start at the top, I cut in a bit, tear, cut along there and tear, just above the seam, just inside the seam, cut and tear, and then chop up here. And sometimes it depends how the collar sits. Sometimes you haven't gone low enough. And there we go, I haven't gone low enough, so I just cut around there, sort of to there roughly, and then tear across. And then what I am going to do is, sometimes they've got a tag, this one's got some printing. I'm going to cut this off now, because otherwise I won't realise it's there. I'll make my quilt and think, I didn't want that on my quilt. So I've got that. And remember, sometimes if you can get coordinating fabrics, that will make a really nice block in your quilt. But that one didn't have any. Now you've got the collar here, and I'll show you what you can do with the collar. I think it's a lot of work. I follow through that middle stripe, so much easier with stripes. Chop in. Ah, you can see that's not torn well because of the, oops, the interfacing. Oh, I don't know, I think it's left the fabric hole, yeah. So you can do that. Oh, that one's coming apart there. They usually don't come apart there. And then you've got a lot of work on your hands. And then you've got some strips, which you can use. Sometimes one of them's got the interfacing stuck on it, so it depends. If you want to spend the time doing that, I've done it now, so I'll keep them and put them in my strips, ready for making scrappy quilts. But I find that an awful lot of effort for some material that's usually too thin to do anything with, fabric. I'll tell you what, just before we finish up now, I might as well do this last shirt and then or sleeve, and I can show you just how much fabric you get. Oh, I'll show you on this cuff as well. You've got to cut the button off and the buttonhole. So if you were going to save the fabric from these, unless you can unpick them, if you're a very dedicated person with lots of time on your hands, which I'd like to be, but I'm not, then you can unpick them, and then you've got a lot more fabric. But no, I just tear seams off, and if you don't cut them in just the right place, they won't tear. So recut them in a bit, tear that. Now this one isn't using an iron-on interfacing. Usually that interfacing has been ironed on and this piece of fabric is stiff. That's sewn in there, so I'm going to snip down there. Oh, and I got another strip for my scrappy quilts and one there. And while I'm finishing up this, I'll just have a little chat to you about what my plans are for the future. I'm not sure when I'm going to get a chance. You've probably heard me say this before. If you've seen some of my other videos, you may not have watched them because they were like fabric haul, button hauls, that sort of thing. And it may not be your thing, but just in case you're watching now, then I'm going to be doing this because it's what I'm using to relax. I've just got too much on my brain at the moment. So this I find very relaxing, even down to, it's amazing how therapeutic it can be, shredding shirts. And also, if you're thinking, oh, I really fancy going out today, but there's nowhere to go, nothing to do, you can pop looking for bargain shirts. I mean, you can get them usually in charity shops and thrift stores reduced to £1. But if you can find a shop that does them very, very, very cheap, like I got, then you can get 5 for £1, bring them home, wash and dry them, and you can have a lot of fun with them. I pop those waste bits in my bag, and this is something I picked up from Sue. Now, Sue is a quilter, and her channel is called From Small Things, and this is such a clever idea. I'd never thought about it. Is when you've got your fabric all cut how you want it, I'm going to refold this into 3, like that. Now, I would just pile this and put it in a drawer. But what she does, she just takes the biggest piece, does that, and now it's all together, because otherwise I find that I pick some bits up and I don't notice I haven't picked other bits up, and then I think I've run out of fabric and I haven't. So this is perfect. So thank you, Sue, for the idea. That's brilliant. Right. So there you go. If you need cheap fabric, don't worry about buying new fabric. Obviously, if something's got holes in it and it's really been washed to death, it's no good. But a lot of these fabrics, they've just got a major thing like a tear or a stain, and there's still years and years worth of wear in the fabric. Right, thank you ever so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And of course, if you're enjoying this sort of thing, don't forget to subscribe, because otherwise, if you're anything like me, you'll think I'll subscribe later and you'll forget even what the channel was called. So before you go, please subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. But until then, happy crafting and have fun. Bye.